So, hello and welcome back to another edition of Sports Talk Live. I'm your host, as always, Brandon Buckner. And today I'll be continuing my conversation, NFL free agency and some sports, laundry that we have to get through today. But today I have a special guest, and she too has a sports podcast. I'll let her talk to you about her sports podcast. Please welcome to the show, Miss Kelly Walker. How are you today?
I'm great. Thanks. How are you today, Brandon?
I'm doing excellent. Thank you for being on the show today.
I'm excited to be here and talk a little bit of sports with you guys.
Yes. So, tell us, the audience, and me a little bit about your sports podcast.
Okay. So it's called Hustle and Pro. And I named it that because I talk to athletes from youth to pro. So I'm located in Frisco, Texas, which is a northern suburb of Dallas, Texas, right? And my little bitty town of Frisco, it's a couple 100,000 people, but we have a crazy amount of sports that happen here. From youth, of course, we have 12 high schools just in my school district alone, but up to the pro level as well. So it's crazy that we're the home of the Dallas Stars, which is the NHL team. Of course, the Dallas Cowboys are headquartered here in Frisco, Texas at the Star. If you've ever seen that on TV, it's about 2 miles from my house. We have an MLS team here, FC Dallas. We have an NBA team just down the road, the Mavs, but their G League team, which I want to talk to you about. They're here in Frisco in the same building that the Stars are headquartered in. And then we also have some MILB baseball action here. And I'm about 40 minutes away from the Texas Rangers. So there's just like always tons of sports happening here in town. But on my podcast, I talk to those professional athletes, but I also talk to the athletes at the youth level, starting mostly like high school standouts that are maybe committed or going to play in college. We talk about their journey so far. And I talk to coaches and fans and all kinds of different sports topics, usually all with some Frisco related twist.
That is amazing. That is awesome. And, when you say you have a lot of Dallas teams, yeah, most definitely. I actually follow the Dallas Mavericks pretty well, and Dallas Cowboys. I've seen their games, and we have a huge fan base down there in Texas, and two up here in the district in Virginia where I'm in now. We have the Washington football team, the Washington Wizards, the Washington Nationals, the Virginia Hokies, Virginia Tech, Georgetown, MLS DC United, and we have the Washington Capitals Stanley Cup team. So, we have, the same amount of teams that Dallas has and you have as well. And I think it's fabulous that, you do a sports podcast because, I feel as though, we can never have too many sports podcasts because, we really want to hear, what other people say about the sports teams and how and how they cover them. And this is a really good thing that you are doing with your podcast and, especially, yeah.
And I listen to sports talk radio, like live sports talk all the time to get, up to date on the go all the time stuff that's happening. But yes. I started this podcast because I work for a local media company and I was writing a lot. So I would interview these athletes. I get to sit down with them. I'd interview them face to face. And then my job was to go back and write an article about the interview. And I'm sitting there writing the article thinking, man, this interview was better than this article is going to be because, like you hear their voice and you hear them telling a cool story. And then I translate it into a quote, a sentence or something. It loses something. And so I asked my bosses, hey, can I turn this into more audio? And I remember one of the interviews that I did that was Keith Hornsby. He was a G League player for the Texas Legends. And his dad's a famous professional musician. And so Keith was telling me about how when him and his twin brother grew up, who was also an athlete, they would be, behind the scenes, like even on the side of the stage at like these huge rock concerts, and telling me all this cool stuff. And, I just wanted other people to hear it. So that's why I get to use this platform. I like for the athletes to tell their stories and other people get to hear it in their own voices. So that's why I think it's really fun.
That is very inspirational right there. That is very good. Yeah, the reason why I started my sports podcast radio show is because the same with you, to update the people of the world about sports and to give my take on the sports world. And since I've been doing my podcast radio show for 3 years, I've gotten people saying, oh, okay, so what am I going to talk about this week on the show? So I look at breaking news and players that have been traded to teams, and that teams have looked out to players and reached out to them, and they've been traded to their teams. Like the NFL free agency is upon us right now. NFL free agency period is starting, and some huge brand names have left their teams for other teams. You talk about Matthew Stafford and Jared Goff switching teams. Jared Goff going to the Lions, Stafford going to the Rams, and switching quarterbacks, and Carson Wentz leaving Philly for the Indianapolis Colts. With this free agency period, and we're still in COVID, it's going to be a big free agency, and some big names have extremely gotten some new contracts or other contracts. So it'll be extremely good to see what's going to be of the NFL free agency period this year of 2021, and to see who goes where. Now,
especially with the quarterback position, like you were talking about. I did an episode a few months back about how weird of a last year's season was weird anyway, right? But how weird it was in the quarterback position with so much movement.
Yes.
And now with some of the older guys making room, leaving and making room for some younger guys. But like you said, there's so much movement in quarterbacks leaving a team that they've been with for so long. So it's all getting shaken up this offseason for sure.
Yes, it is. Truthfully, I know for a fact for your team, for the Dallas Cowboys, Dak Prescott has signed on a new contract for the Cowboys, and he's sticking around.
Yeah, and I love Dak. First of all, I love like so many things about Dak. He's loved in this community. I love his story. He's just a well-respected, and I think he's well-respected in the locker room by everybody on his team too. So I'm personally thrilled that they got the contract done for lots of reasons. I mean, we want him here, but it sort of sucks to be the fan in your market when there's not a locked-in quarterback, right? There's just too much. There's too much unknown, and that's too much of the conversation. Like when there's not a deal done, I mean, it happened with Zeke too last year, but when there's not a deal done, it takes up too much emotional energy, I think, as a fan, but also within the franchise. I mean, that's all people want to talk about. So I was bummed last year. And I think everybody was bummed last year when he got franchise tag, just because we didn't know what was going to happen. And then the craziness that happened with him, with his injury.
Yes.
And then that is like, great. Now what? That's the first thing. Well, not the first thing. The first thing you think of is, wow, that's awful. And I hope he's, lives through this and is okay.
Exactly.
And then once once past that part of it, you start realizing like, oh, we don't know what's going to happen with him being, being healthy, but being our quarterback anymore. So it was stressful. So yeah. The first thing I thought of when I saw 4 years, 160 million was, that's crazy. That's a lot, but it's sort of like the trajectory that the going rate for top rated quarterbacks is lately, which is crazy. They couldn't get a deal done at 30 million a year ago, but getting this one done seemed to work. And it sort of seems like the direction that things are pointing for quarterbacks in this league, which is just mind blowing to me. Right.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. You brought up a good point because I remember when Dak went down, and I was very upset because he was playing really good, really good football. I too like Dak Prescott. He's a very good quarterback, and I know that the Cowboys would have been a great team last year had it not been for his injury. I believe that they were on a roll. I saw a
Yeah.
game last year where they literally almost beat the Seahawks. So
Yeah.
that was one of those great games. And a lot of the games they played last year was very very great, very good, and they picked up the slack closer to the end of the season where they won 3 in a row, 4 in a row. So that was very good. I can
Yeah,
say
it was a
easily,
bummer. I mean, when you're on a
yeah,
roll and when you do think you can make something of your season, but it also reminded me of like when Romo got hurt and Dak
yeah,
was on the sidelines. I
mhm,
mean, this is normal. Quarterbacks get hurt and hope you got a backup guy paying attention that can get in there and do well. And um, but then when Romo got better and came back and they said, you know what, Dak's done a pretty good job for us here. Romo, you just sit this one out. And that was a big deal around here, a really big deal. I mean, you either love Romo or you don't, I guess. I love him because he didn't win anything here, but he did a lot for our franchise and was good for us.
he did.
But that was hard to see him have to step aside and like swallow his pride and be like, oh, okay, Dak, let's make it work for you. And so to see that now start to happen with Dak's injury, of course he wasn't going to come back last season, and I didn't even know if he would be healthy enough to come back now. And of course they're all saying that he can and he will. It worries me. Going back to the contract, it does worry me because he shouldn't be able to come back as good as he
Right.
was. I
Hmm.
know that it's possible,
Yeah.
obviously. I mean, Alex Smith just did it, and that was part of the storyline too, is that he reached out to him talking about it. So it's possible, but like reality wise, he shouldn't be able to come back like he was or better. I mean, he has to be better than he was for us to do better, even, right?
Yes.
So it scares me with that big of a contract and using that much cap room like for him, but with that injury, because you never know what you're gonna get. But I'm happy that we have him back. I'd rather have a rehabbed Dak than an unknown still. So
Exactly. Exactly. Yeah. It's funny that you brought up Alex Smith because he now left the Washington football team. Sadly, it was sad for me to see Alex go. I was a huge Alex Smith fan, but hopefully Ron Fitzpatrick can get something done in DC. Fitz Magic they call him. So hopefully, some magic can come to this Washington team. I tell you, over the years watching Washington football, it's been hard, but I still root for him. When RG3 and Kirk Cousins were the mainstays, and with the McNabbs and the Campbells and the Grossmans and the Brunells. But I think Ryan Fitzpatrick, we gotta steal with him. So hopefully he can. I'm not sure how good he's gonna be. He is up there in age, so we'll just have to see what Fitzpatrick can do for our team this year.
yeah, I mean, I'm curious how you feel about it's a 1 year deal, right? 1 year
Yes, it
shot.
is. Yes, one
Yeah,
year
I
shot.
mean, yeah, I want to hear your thoughts because I mean, like I mentioned with Dak last year, like when I'm a fan watching somebody on a 1 year contract, somebody that's a pivotal player that's like critical to your
Yes,
success,
yes,
it's sort of like depending on where your team is in the process, but like it's kind of make it or break it. It's like you're shooting for the stars and it's got to work or else you're back to square one. Because the player, like it's like why, and you might know the ins and outs of why they signed him for 1 year, but like is it the player doesn't have confidence in the club and the team and that they're not willing to commit for longer, or is it the team not sure if that player is going to jive with their locker room and system, and so they're all testing each other out, and if it doesn't work out 100% year one, is that your only chance to play with that guy?
yeah, yeah. You got some good points. It's kind of weird how they brought Fitzpatrick in because I remember in that playoff game against Tampa, we had Taylor Heineke and Steven Montez was the backup. And then when Allen went down with that leg injury, it was Alex Smith starting all over again. And when I heard about that one-year deal for Ryan Fitzpatrick, I thought it might be a prove-it deal. Like Fitzpatrick has something to prove here in Washington. And if he does, I'm not going to say, I've listened to this and I've heard some people say, well, if Fitzpatrick could come in and do the same thing that Alex did before Alex got injured in 2018, 6-2 record, I don't know. I've seen Fitzpatrick play on teams before, but I haven't seen his all-around game. So I'm going to have to really keep my keen eye on Ryan Fitzpatrick and see what he does. And I'm sure if they like what they're seeing from him in training camp, basically who's going to be the starter for Week 1 in 2021, whether it be Heineke, Fitzpatrick, or Allen, because Allen is still going to be coming back from that leg injury he suffered last year too. It was just a tough break for quarterbacks last year getting injured. A couple of quarterbacks that I saw go down, and even quarterbacks that were set down because of how they were playing. I remember Cam Newton was set down, for how he was playing with the Patriots for Jarrett Stidham, and Jarrett Stidham didn't perform well, so Cam Newton came back in the bunch, and now Cam Newton has re-signed with the Patriots. When everybody thought Cam Newton was actually going to sign with the Washington football team and re-sign with Coach Ron Rivera in Washington. So, but sometimes I think what players really like is the Patriots, and Bill Belichick. He'll figure out what he's going to do with Cam Newton this year, just as Tom Brady signed on to a 2-year deal with the Buccaneers, Super Bowl champions, and we'll see how that team functions next year. I think they're bringing their whole team back together, but they might lose one or two pieces of that team, but we'll see for sure.
Were you hoping Cam Newton came to Washington?
You know what? I have my mixed feelings about that one. That's a good question. I kind of wanted him to come because I was thinking that Washington, if they had kept Alex Smith for a surprise move, or if they had just signed Cam Newton to come in and compete with the other quarterbacks in free agency. But we're looking at Cam Newton and the way he did last year. I'm kind of glad he stayed with New England. I think Ryan Fitzpatrick played a lot better in Miami last year. I mean, even though he was set down for the last 6 or 7 games, and he came back in one of those games for Tua Tagovailoa. So, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he's a great quarterback. I watched him in Buffalo and the Jets, and now I know he's been around, but if he can cut that beard off, he'll look even more younger in his prime, I guess.
Well, I could see why Cam would do well staying in his Patriots system. I mean, obviously there's a track record there. If you let Bill Belichick do his thing, he can probably give you a good career. But not everybody jives with his personality either. So it'll be interesting to see if he can make New England stick for him and turn it around for him.
Yes, I'm hoping for that. I'm hoping for that for both teams, for Dallas, for Washington, and for New England as well. So I know you cover a lot of sports in the town of Texas. What is your favorite team you'd like to cover during your podcast?
Okay, so it's hard to pick a favorite because I go to two teams. Well, my favorite sport is baseball. Mm-hmm. So if I was covering the Rangers directly, it would easily be that. But I'm covering their AA team that's here. That's just a few minutes from me. So my favorites are FC Dallas, our MLS team, mm-hmm. and the Texas Legends. which is the G League for the Mavericks.
Nice.
And it's because, well, it's both the front office people, but also the players. I mean, they're just so accessible to us. So I don't know. I love people on both teams, but I don't know. I might even say FC Dallas. We're a soccer family. We watch a lot of soccer. My husband and I met playing soccer in college.
Nice.
Both kids have played soccer. One still does, one's done. And so Toyota Stadium is right by us, and we're season ticket holders, and I have all this access to these players and the coaching staff and even the ownership. So I guess I would pick FC Dallas. Their ownership is a cool story on its own. It's the Hunt family. So they own the Chiefs also. So, I mean, Lamar Hunt. So the owners of FC Dallas and the Chiefs, they're brothers, and their dad is Lamar Hunt, who really is a pioneer in both sports. He kind of single-handedly saved the MLS years ago, but then he also created a second Dallas football team and then moved it to Kansas City, and now they are the Chiefs. So it's been really cool over the last couple of years getting to cover FC Dallas and getting to hear from and know Clark Hunt and Dan Hunt, just to hear their personal side of ownership and how much these teams mean to them. Their mom has been to every single Super Bowl. And so getting to hear them talk about like prepping for this Super Bowl and last year was really cool. It had nothing to do with our own MLS team, but just because they're shared ownership, we got to talk about it a lot. So it's been a really cool ride watching the ownership story there for FC Dallas. And then the players. I get to interview kids, like if they sign their pro contract. One of my favorites, he signed his pro contract, so I got to talk to him just a few days later and hear about his sacrifices that his family made to move him here by himself as a teenager, and how cool it was when he got his first pro start and his contract, but his first pro start, and to be at the game and to see his dad give him a hug and all that cool stuff is really cool, really amazing.
Well, that is wonderful. That is wonderful. I'm with you. I like soccer. I really do. DC United is my favorite. I would say the NFL, NBA, and I would say the soccer are my three favorite sports I like to watch. I would say the hockey is my number 4 because I know they were the Capitals won the Stanley Cup back in 2018, and I would say for DC teams alone, I would say the only 2 teams that I would love to see go back to a championship game will be the Wizards and the Washington football team. I know the Wizards right now are really struggling badly right now with Westbrook and Bill, and Bill still being the leading scorer of the NBA. But that trade for John Wall to Houston, that team's only won 11 games so far, and I think the trade that John Wall got sent to Houston for Russell Westbrook. I think the Wizards started off the gate pretty rough when the season started in January for them. But I remember that trade correctly when John Wall made his goodbye speech, and I was thinking, man, if the Wizards could have got Westbrook and Wall and Bill together, that would have been a 1-2 punch tandem with the Wizards in the East. But unfortunately, you had to get rid of one and not keep the other one. But if that would have happened, if Tommy Shepard could have kept them both intact and still gotten Westbrook, I believe it would have been a 1-2 tandem. Even one of them might have been coming off the bench, either Westbrook or Wall might have been coming off the bench. But yeah, it would have been something. And with
but sometimes that's what you need. You need that formula. It doesn't have to be like your 3 starters or something. You do need the bench support to make it work. But isn't that crazy how basketball, like I don't know when this shift changed to where you have to build it. Like you have to have the exact right pieces to get to the
Exactly.
championship level. It's so
Exactly.
hard.
Yeah.
And as
Right.
players move
Yes.
now, it's like, it's even more elusive to make those groups of guys set. They're moving. So it's even harder. And you mentioned the NHL.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's championships to get to and win, right? It's just, there's such a long,
Exactly.
grueling
Yes.
season, and you have to have all kinds of pieces in play. So the Dallas Stars won our Stanley Cup in college. And I mean, like, it's amazing how winning a championship, you can ride that wave for so long just because you know how hard that is to get there. And we've been close getting back, obviously, but haven't quite made it happen just yet. So it was just last season that we went back to the finals, which was, I don't know what's worse, if you don't make the playoffs or if you get all the way to the end and then have to lose. But no, with the, like the Rangers did in the World Series, but with the Stars, it was plenty for me as a fan, just the finals. That was a huge accomplishment for us.
Yes, I remember seeing that finals. And the Dallas Stars, they looked really good. They looked absolutely good, and that's one of the negative effects about also being a DC team is you get to the playoffs and you almost get to the Eastern Conference Finals. I remember in 2017 when the Wizards and the Celtics went, and it was Game 7, and Wall and Bill, they just shut down in the end, and they were almost there. They were almost to the Eastern Conference Finals until they were shut down by Boston. But that was a good year because we had won our division, and Scott Brooks was coming in, first year head coach in 2017, and this was before Randy Whitman left, and he left the team, and we did some good things with that team, and also with the Capitals in 2018. The Capitals were a bit of a surprise Stanley Cup final for me because I didn't believe they would make it that far, but I was actually shocked. I was actually shocked that the Nationals had won the World Series as well, that they got past the Dodgers and taking on the Astros, and I was like, well, I don't think they're going to make the World Series this year, but evidently I was wrong. I think that was a great Nationals team that they had. I must say it was a bit scary for the World Series at first, but that last game, it really made it worthwhile for me to see that really.
I've always rooted for the Nationals, but like you said, it's hard with those long seasons, those sports with those long seasons. It's like getting deep in the playoffs. Sometimes it just depends on who's still healthy. It doesn't matter who was the better team at the beginning. All that's gone. It's who still has a bullpen left, or who can still put guys out there. And that's what's crazy. Like you said, though, you could be on a roll, and then you just meet a team like, I think you said the Celtics, or somebody that just during that one series. It could have been earlier in the year and you could have taken care of them, but it's just all things don't align. That's why it's so hard to win.
It is really hard, really, really hard. So I know you said you do cover Dallas Mavericks team. What are your thoughts on Luka Doncic? I can tell you, I think the guy is in running for MVP this year because he's putting up some great numbers, and last year he proved it when he took the Mavericks to the playoffs in the bubble when they were in Orlando, and now he's playing at an all elite level again with the Mavericks, and I know Dirk Nowitzki was kind of like a mentor for him when he first came in, and he talked about Dirk Nowitzki. So what are your thoughts on Luka?
I love Luka, of course. Everybody around here loves Luka. I mean, I can't even imagine that we were so lucky after Dirk left that we had somebody like Luka like behind him ready to go, which is crazy. Like who gets two guys like that back to back in a market like ours? But No, I love Luka. I think he's amazing to watch, obviously. And yeah, like you said, he's catching the attention, like for MVP, votes and whatnot, but he's catching the attention of the players. I mean, when you hear players like LeBron talking about him and giving him props, like that's really, really cool, really exciting for him. I just hope he doesn't get frustrated here. I mean, we've had some pretty brutal losing streaks this season, and everybody was excited thinking KP was coming back just fine off of his injury and last season, which is an unfairly short off season, right? This October, November, December.
Yes.
And that's not been as good as he'd hoped, but I just hope Luka doesn't get discouraged here, feeling like he needs more help and wants to look elsewhere. That's my fear. I want him to stay here as long as he can, as long as we can keep him here and keep him happy.
Yeah.
And I think Cuban wants the same. I think Cuban's the same, wants the same. Just like we never wanted Dirk to leave. I think Mark doesn't want Luka to ever look elsewhere either. So knowing him, he'll do whatever he has to do to keep him around.
Yes, Mark Cuban, great owner, great guy. I watch him on Shark Tank a lot, and he's just a great guy. I know, and the Mavericks are one of those teams that I like to follow myself. Actually, I was a huge fan of Jason Terry and Dirk Nowitzki, and that team that won the title in 2011. You guys won the NBA title. You guys beat the Miami Heat, and some people might say that was a little bit of a hard series, but I don't think it was a hard series for Dallas because they had just gotten LeBron and Bosh and Mario Chalmers in there, and you guys were already a great stacked team in 2011. And you guys on the road, you guys still had Peja Stojakovic, one of the greatest all-time 3-point shooters that I know. There's Reggie Miller and Ray Allen out there, but that guy is really good. But I remember seeing that finals in 2011. I remember saying, yeah, Dallas got this series. I mean, in 2006, unfortunately, it didn't happen. But in 2011, I mean, they, second time's the charm. And you guys really showed Miami that year. And I was rooting for you guys to beat the Heat because I was in 06. Well, in 06, the Heat had Shaq, Wade, Alonzo Mourning. And you guys were intact that year too in 06. But I think in 2011, it was more of a stacked team with Kidd and Nowitzki, and you had Caron Butler, Deshaun Stevenson, Brendan Haywood from the Wizards, and you guys were a really big stacked team, and teams were afraid of the Mavericks in 2011. I remember before that, you guys beat the Lakers in that season to get to the finals. So yeah, I'm totally convinced that Luka Doncic is going to stick around. I think this coming Thursday is the NBA trade deadline, so maybe Luka can get a couple of pieces to help that Dallas team. I know Andre Drummond is on the trade block. I know Davis Bertans from the Wizards, he might be a trade block. I know some teams are still trying to get Bradley Beal out of DC. I would say, I know teams are trying to do. I think really if the Wizards have another bad year, they don't make the playoffs, I think Bradley Beal might be gone maybe next year or a year and a half. But I know he says that he wants to stay in DC. But we really don't know what athletes are thinking if they haven't been to the playoffs. And the Wizards haven't been to the playoffs since 2018 when they lost to the Raptors in the first round. And you don't know what players are thinking. So if Bradley Beal should leave, he had a good run, but I think right now he's liking playing with Russell Westbrook, and I know Westbrook. I forgot the contract he signed with the Wizards, but I'm sure Westbrook might still be around. And now with Coach Brooks' contract, I don't know if the Wizards are going to re-sign him to be a coach next year, but I think Coach Brooks. I think when he coached Durant and Westbrook and Harden in Oklahoma City. He was coaching a very good team, and I know the Wizards, they have their moments, but if a team like Washington, you just gotta take it easy. They they're still under the young team. I remember when Agent Zero was here, Gilbert, those years, and Coach Jordan, Eddie Jordan, and we had our playoff moments with Cleveland, and we would always get shut out with the Cavs. But that was a learning process for all the teams considered. So what do you think about the NBA playoff format? Teams 1 through 10 making the playoffs, and the 10th seed playing a in playoff game to advance to the playoffs. What do you think about that?
Worked out for us last year. I mean, I don't have a problem with it because it expands the field a little, I guess, or to open it up to more than would normally get in, right?
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So, I mean, it kind of allows those bubble teams to have a second look. So I think it's good. Makes sense to me.
Yeah, it does to me too. I remember when the NBA when they came back in July and August, and I was saying, this new seeding format is really good because you can put a 10th team that's not really playing that good, and you can pair them up with the 9th seed team, and they can play one game to advance to the playoffs. I remember Portland and Memphis played that one playoff game, and Portland went on to play the Lakers in the first round. And with the Lakers running through their competition last year, now some people might say the Rockets were that team that might have went to the finals, but with James Harden and Russell Westbrook, playing on the same team, and James Harden asking for a trade this year to Brooklyn, it seems like the players that come from bad teams either wind up on the Lakers or the Brooklyn Nets this season. You've seen Blake Griffin go to New York. You've seen James Harden go in New York. You've seen, one of those guys from the Lakers go. I think his name was. I know Anthony Davis from the Pelicans went to LA, and you had so many guys that I forgot his name. He played with the Raptors. Marc Gasol, Paul Gasol's brother, left Toronto, went to LA, and Kawhi Leonard, Paul George now with the Clippers. Who do you think? I know I asked so many of my guests on the show, but who do you think can outplay the Lakers to get to the finals this year? I know the Warriors and the Clippers. I know the Warriors are trying to make a comeback, but who do you think in the West could outplay the Lakers?
Well, it's interesting right now with LeBron, a little unknown with being hurt too, right?
Exactly.
Yeah, but well, earlier I was going to say, I know you just said who in the West though. Going into this season, I would pick the Nets to compete. But I don't know. I mean, I don't know who else is making a run right now to compete.
Yeah. It's kind of hard to say because I know the Nets and the Sixers with Joel Embiid being out now, and it's kind of hard to tell. But I know for a fact that in the West there are some pretty good teams like the Mavericks. I would expect them to be in the playoffs this year, and the Clippers and the Lakers and the Warriors and the Grizzlies are making a run in the East. I would say that the Knicks are a bit of a surprise team for me this year because I know everybody are saying, "Wow, the Knicks are playing really good," and people are wondering, "Wow, they were bad like 3, 4, 5 years ago, and now they've had bad seasons all over the place, and now they are starting to win with the Knicks re-signing Derrick Rose, his second stint in New York, and with Julius Randle and those Knicks, those guys playing good over there. And you also got the Milwaukee Bucks MVP Antetokounmpo playing well, and the Bucks just playing extremely well. And I don't know. That's a pretty good question. I don't know who's going to make it out of the East or the West.
There's a lot. I mean, don't get me wrong. I hope it's the Mavs have a really great showing. And yeah, I mean, I hope they make the playoffs. These weird streaks though, right now, you never know. It just depends on how much support Luka can get. He can't do it all by himself. So
Exactly. Yes, exactly. He can't do it all by himself, and I think that's what the you have the problem with in the NBA with some of the teams like with like you said Luca and with Bradley Beal. He thinks and he has help now with him and Westbrook, but Porzingis and Luca can't do it by themselves, and Beal and Westbrook can't do it by themselves, or LeBron and Davis, they can't do it by themselves. So you need some supporting cast, most definitely, for sure. Now that you mentioned you covered the Texans legends of the G League. Now that team is affiliated with the Dallas Mavericks.
Yeah. Oh, go ahead. What's your question? Sorry, I was going to tell you more about it.
Oh yeah, yes, please. I know that team has. I've actually watched them play, and they play really good. I watched the G League, and I really like what the G League is doing, and with the Texas Legends, I know they're a pretty good team down there too. So yeah.
So what's cool about them? Like, yes, they're the official affiliate, G League affiliate of the NBA, the Mavs, but there's so much like shared ownership and shared everything. So the owner, Mark Cuban has ownership in the Legends just as of recently, which is cool because that sort of makes a bridge there between the two teams. But our main, most involved owner is Donnie Nelson, whose dad, Don Nelson. So there's so much Mavs history already. Like, it's not one of those development teams that's remote or distant or disconnected. Like, they're super connected. Al Whitley, who's one of the old friends who was brought into the Mavs systems a while back, his job title now is literally a liaison between the two teams. So he bridges the gap. So with player management and everything, he handles the back and forth. He's at the Legends games, sitting there on the bench. You mentioned the Jet. So before he went and took his other job, he was here last season in the front office with the Legends. And so we have a lot of ex-Mavs involvement in the Legends too. Like, that's what makes it cool, is that they're a really connected kind of family of brands. And we have Spud Webb's in the front office, and he's at all the games and is really fun. Like, Spud Webb goes to the Legends kids camps and stuff is really cool. So there's a lot of back and forth because of our proximity. I mean, a guy like a two-way player can be here in Frisco playing with the Legends and be at the Mavs in 30 minutes and train and practice or play or get with them. You see a lot of our guys get call-ups, even just really temporary quick ones, which is just cool for their.
Sorry, folks, technical difficulties. Yeah. So, as I was saying, we were talking about the Texas Legends, and that sounds amazing. Now I know Jason Jattera, he was once the basketball player of the Dallas Mavericks, and now we get to see him in the front office of the Texas Legends. So yeah, that's pretty good. I can tell you that my guest, she will be right back. She's having technical difficulties with her Zoom. But I want to talk about right now, still talk about the Texas Legends and Mark Cuban being the owner of both teams. That's awesome because he has ties, he has connections with both Dallas teams. And the thing is, it's very incredible and very, very great, very, very, very incredible to say the least. And I think the Texas Legends, I've actually looked them up, and they're a pretty good team in Texas. So, and they're just going to continue to get better. I know the Wizards, their G League team is the Capital City Go-Go. My name right?
You there?
Yes, I am.
Okay, sorry. I don't know how long I was talking without you might not hearing me. What's the last thing you heard me talk about?
Oh, I think it was Spud Webb.
Oh, okay. Just in
Yes.
general, it's cool to see kind of the Legends family with the family and how it all works. But I was just going to mention it's cool to watch the players' journeys as they get
Hmm.
called up and even move throughout other parts of the league. Like Kostas Antetokounmpo was here. And
Oh,
so I got to interview him, and he is a huge personality, really entertaining, really fun, um, like hilarious kid. To then watch him get to go and win a champ as a Laker, cool. And of course, I think he got to. I don't know. And I don't know if he got to do what did he get to do with his brother? It wasn't an All-Star weekend. Maybe it was
um,
watching him at the All-Star weekend, but something. Just getting to
oh
watch him
yes,
leave here
yes, yep. I
as
think it was
a
All Star.
really young player in the league
Yes,
and then get to
yes,
go like build his career. It's just cool to see the synergy and the handoff with some of those players.
yeah. It definitely is. I know Giannis's other brother plays with Giannis on the Milwaukee Bucks, uh,
Yeah.
and it's just awesome to see that. And I remember I never knew this. I think I started watching basketball in '05, and I never knew this, but Vince Carter and Tracy McGrady are actually cousins, and I never knew
Oh,
that. I never knew that they were actually cousins. And I
I
remember,
didn't either.
yeah, that was a huge surprise because I remember seeing the 2000, 1999 2000 slam dunk contest on NBA TV, and I remember they were saying they were cousins, and when Carter won in 2000, it was then when they said they were cousins, and I had to go back and I said, wow, I didn't know they were actual cousins. And I remember just watching that, and you know, uh, Vince Carter. He was another former Dallas Maverick player. He played with you guys, and Trace McGrady, as you know, all know Orlando Magic and Houston Rocket. So it's very good to see other NBA players play in the G League to get their conditioning back up to get back up to the NBA limelight of their careers.
Yeah.
It's very good to see that because even if you're on injury reserve and you go down to G League to get your body right and play a couple games, and then you've been brought back up to the NBA by that team. It's very good. Wow, it's very
It
great.
is cool. And you mentioned, yeah, when guys come back down, that's really fun for me too, being in this market. We get to see a lot of guys come down to our development leagues and play in Frisco and then go back up to Dallas or Arlington, like you Darvish when he would rehab and he'd pitch and come through Frisco and pitch a few games or kinds of different Texas Rangers. So it's really cool to be like, oh, it's a random Tuesday night. I'm going to go 5 minutes away and watch like a world-class MLB pitcher rehab through here for a few nights. It's really cool. And same with the Mavs players as they might come down and get some minutes with us to get back up to speed before they go back to the Mavs.
Exactly. Speaking of the MLB, what do you think about? I know the MLB is soon to be coming back.
Yeah.
What are your thoughts on the MLB season for the Rangers or just for the MLB in general?
Yeah, it's coming back real soon. I mean, opening day is by the time this podcast airs, be here. But April 1st is opening day. And so it's not our home opener, but it's the Rangers' first game in Kansas City. Our home opener is a couple days later on the 5th. And the talk around here, I don't know if the talk is up there in DC, but is about our decisions to open at full capacity. So most leagues or most teams in the MLB, of course, it depends on everybody's state rules, their local government, but everybody's opening. If they're allowing fans, they're allowing them at like 12%, 20%, 30%. There's one other team that's at like 46%. Most people are opening in about 20% on home openers, and the Rangers are going 100%, which is a little crazy and unheard of right now. But they're doing it. I mean, it's a new ballpark for us to play in. We hosted the World Series and some of the late, I think the ALDS series last year, but we haven't gotten to be there and play there. So they're going for it. So I think it'll be an interesting season. It might be rock, depending on how all of that plays out for them. Baseball's had a rough with COVID, making it work, but I'm excited to get into Globe Life Field and check it out now that we have a baseball stadium with air conditioning here in our hot Texas summers. But it might be a little rocky for the Rangers. It's not looking like one of our best seasons. A lot of work to do.
Yeah. I'm not sure how the Nationals are going to handle fans of reopening. I know they might have a couple of fans come to the games. I'm not particularly sure. But if they do, I hope that they can, when I know their home opener is April 1st against the New York Mets, which that's at Nationals Park. And I know on some opening days, the Nationals have always opened at home. I'm not sure what the Baltimore Orioles are going to do if they're opening at home this year. But I know for a fact that with this Nationals team, and Max Scherzer is already going to be pitching in the first game. So, it'd be nice to see him get back into pitching. But, we'll see how everything shapes out for the MLB for sure, because I know for a while they were trying to find out if, fans could actually come to the games. And I know as for the NBA playoffs, I know the NBA playoffs, their format was a little different this year. They actually started in December, and then they had their All-Star break in March. And now I'm hearing that the NBA playoffs won't start up until May. When it originally always starts in April, they won't start to I think the middle first week of May. So each team, I believe, has 32 or 31 more games left. So we'll see what happens, sports fans. And my guest, she'll be back. She's having a technical difficulty with her mic, but I will continue to talk here. The Nationals will be opening April 1st, April Fool's Day. Sports fans, just look out. If you want to get tickets, if you want to go to the game, just mask up, and stay safe at the game, and always 6 feet distance apart from yourself as well, and just have fun. I mean, opening day is always good. I mean, if you want to stay home, watch it on your TV. It's fine. Yeah. So yeah. I would say no. It's totally fine. I was just saying that the Nationals. I know. I'm not sure how they're gonna be opening up the stadium. I'm pretty sure they might have a few fans come to the game, and some fans might just like to enjoy it on TV. But I'm pretty sure that they might have some fans at the games cheering them on for sure.
There's not, for me, there's no like home openers for baseball. I mean, opening day of baseball.
Opening day of baseball, that's always been one of the few bright spots for me as well. I do like, I would always think about how the baseball stadiums will have their hot dogs and their brats and their nachos, and with I don't know, Ben Bowl is in the park or how they're doing it, but I remember last year people actually ordered their food and brought to their house, was it Uber Eats or DoorDash, and they were able to order from the stadium restaurants and have their food brought to them. through Uber and DoorDash and just have them have their fruit brought to them. So I don't know how they're going to do it this year. People getting their shots and people wanting to go to the games. I'm not sure how that's going to work out, but we'll see. We'll see how all that will play out for this baseball season and this baseball team, because I know for a fact that it's going to be this might be this might be an MLB season where people getting their shots and they're saying, okay, well, you got shots, we want to come to the game. So yeah, absolutely.
Oh my gosh, I can't how many times that's going on.
That is fine. I was improvising until you came back, actually.
Oh, good. Sorry,
yes.
I messed you up then.
No, it's fine. I was continuing talking about the baseball season when you were gone. So perfect. Yes. Awesome.
Good. Do you want me to do any more on the Rangers? Or
yeah, sure. I know you guys have been very good for a while. So what's the story? What's the story around the Texas Rangers?
Well, it's not great. A great story. It'll be rough. The pitching's we're already having some holdups with our staff, but we will see some of the names we know, like Rugi. He's going to win the third base position, I think, and then I think Guzman is trying to win the first base position. IKF, one of my favorites, Isaiah Kiner-Falefa, he is going to be in the lineup, and excited to see Joey Gallo get back out there. He's always a fun one to watch hit. So we've got some good stuff like that, but then some hurt already. And then like one of my Josh Young, who I was looking forward to seeing, one of our young is hurt, not just hurt, has a broken bone that he has to fight through and get repaired and all that. But I'm a Red Raider, so I went to Texas Tech. And so we watched come through these last few seasons at Tech baseball. And so bummed to hear about his setback, but that's how it goes. That's sports. That's injuries happen. It just sucks when you're like starting your career and, you have a random injury like that. But so yeah, the Rangers will probably struggle a bit. The bullpen will be interesting. There's some old names that they're like bringing back through that I didn't think would come back through, like Matt Bush, who another one of those we watched comes through Frisco. So you never know. Like I said earlier, it can be really rough at the beginning of the season, and then you get to the All-Star break, and if who's healthy and who's still with you and this and that and what's going on. I mean, you can turn things around with these long baseball seasons. So you never know what the Rangers how their depth can look in the bullpen later on and in the infield. But we have had a lot of changes. We've lost some of my favorite marquee players over the years are no longer here. I was a big Elvis fan, like Beltre, those guys. So, a lot of change. Some changing of the tide here, which, as you know, can hurt for a little while.
Yeah, and I know you guys had Josh Hamilton here once.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah.
Character. Yeah. It's always a wild ride, I guess, with somebody like Josh. But yeah, it's been a long time, I feel like, since he's long gone from here.
Yeah. It was, I used to enjoy seeing him when the Nationals or they would play the Orioles, and I would say, for me, I liked seeing Max Scherzer. I'm anticipating seeing him and seeing what he can do for this season, and seeing what our rookie we got years ago, Max Scherzer, and my gosh, what is his name? I can't forget the guy's name.
I know. I was just saying your biggest players, and now I'm gone blank on who you guys.
Yes, exactly. Yes.
Well, it was Nationals. Bryce. It was. I've gone blank too.
Yes,
I need
actually,
to Google
yes.
it.
You're absolutely right. Bryce
Bryce
Harper.
Harper.
He's not with
Bryce
the
Harper.
Phillies. Yes, he's not with the Phillies. Steven Strasburg. He's still around, and I know they got some other players. They got somebody from the Pittsburgh Pirates, and it was a great free agency for all the MLB teams in general. I really hope this MLB season can start and finish without any setbacks due to COVID. But seems like things are slowly starting to spruce up, get
Unwind.
better a little bit. Exactly,
Yeah.
unwind. Yeah, seems like a lot of things are starting to do that.
Yeah. I just hope they don't
yeah.
wind back up too tight. That's the problem. I hope they're not unwinding the wrong speed because we won't know till it's. But yeah, I mean, we had a rough last year with our FC Dallas team.
Yes.
Getting dismissed from the Orlando bubble. They were like the first
Yes.
team out. That was awful. And it is what it is. It ended up kind of happening to everybody. Like, became normal, just like with the NBA shutdown.
Yeah, exactly.
You see these players get it in March, and everybody's like, "Oh wow, a player has it," and then everybody ends up having it.
Yeah.
And then you don't, it's just kind of, it goes around. But yeah, it was a really rough FC Dallas summer last year. So I hope MLB can have a good go at it and not get too interrupted with shutdowns at all. It'd be ideal.
I hope so too. I'm right there with you. March Madness is here. It's upon us. Do you create brackets? Do you have any? Wow, yeah, I know. Wow, I'm probably gonna. I watched the game last night, and I was very nervous because I picked Michigan to go to the Final Four and also win the NCAA championship. So when they were down against LSU,
yeah.
I was like, oh my gosh, Dron Howard, former NBA player. I was like, gosh, you guys can't lose. You guys are the number one seed. Can't lose to LSU. Can't lose to H seed LSU. And I was like, it was surprising finish. And that was good. I don't know how long they're going to stay in the tournament. Because no one really knows. They just fill out a bracket and okay, well, this is my team who I want to go to the NCAA tournament. Who do you have going to the final and winning? Who do you have?
Okay, all right. So there's a big difference in who do you want to go and who do you have going. Because so I mentioned I'm a Texas Tech person. My husband and I both went there. So we had a blast, of course, not last year, but the last March Madness tournament, we had a blast because our Red Raiders made to the finals. So of course I wanted my Red Raiders to go back and win, but I actually didn't have them going all the way. I ended up, I had a couple brackets going and they're both really bad already because I let my 10-year-old son help me with one of them, and his paced out with Ohio State winning. So that is already messed up. And then I ended up with my other bracket I kind of went with a little offbeat, but I had Iowa going all the way. And so that's no longer. So my brackets aren't good, but I'm kind of going with the plan that a lot of other people's aren't going to be either, because there's just been so many unusual upsets. I mean, I actually always gets into my first round knowing that there's going to be some. So I always pick like some upset, not usually a 1 seed. I'll go a little bit more conservative than that, but I'm hoping that everybody else's is just as screwed up as mine.
Yeah, I'll tell you, my bracket was about to be screwed up last night had it not been for Michigan playing off that victory. I actually my bracket. I'm alive for one more week, I would say.
Good.
If
That's
Michigan
good.
loses the next time, I actually had it was kind of weird because I had Georgetown beating Colorado And I remember, Patrick Ewing. And then Georgetown went to the Final Four, went to the NCAA tournament for the first time since 2007. So I remember when they interviewed Patrick Ewing, and he said, "Well, we're going to try to make some noise in the tournament." And they wound up getting shut out. I remember Saturday when they played, and they were just getting shut out in first half, second half. They didn't stand a chance against Colorado, and I said, but Georgetown really doesn't play well in the tournament. Neither does Maryland. And Maryland, they just got shut out by Alabama last night too. So those two teams, they really don't play well. And Gonzaga is still in it, and Alabama, and there's this guy there's this Japanese player who plays for the Wizards named Rory Hachimura, and I know he's got to be happy Gonzaga is still in it. I know when the Wizards got him, he came from Gonzaga, and I know some of these NBA players. I know Juwan Howard's played for Michigan. Chris Webber played for Michigan, so I know he's got to be happy his team stayed alive last night, because I'm telling you, had it not been for that run they had, they would have been out too. So it's amazing to see NCAA tournament and how teams stack up. And I was actually surprised that Syracuse has lasted this long.
I didn't have them going very far, but I had them at least a round or two, thinking, I don't know why. I had them at least winning a little bit. But that's what makes this tournament so exciting to watch, because it's never the expected. It's never how it should play out on paper. There's somebody always goes on a run when you don't think they should, or you expect them to.
Exactly.
And there's always some little, Loyola or I don't care. I can't remember who we were watching this weekend, that you're just sitting there watching them in amazement that they're getting beat by some school. And it's fascinating. And I think, man, if my profession was seeding these teams or predicting this, I'd feel pretty stupid when you realize how many upsets there were. Basically, it kind of goes to show you, like in college basketball, anything can happen. Anybody, even though you're supposed to be this powerhouse program or team, anything can happen in one game. That's what makes it so exciting to watch. But I can tell you, for my Big 12, it's been a little bit embarrassing. Texas had so many teams going into this tournament.
Oh my gosh. Jeez.
And the Big 12, we're like down to Baylor, of all things. We're down to Baylor. So it's been wild. I'm Texas, so I'm fine with Baylor winning. I didn't go to Baylor. I chose to leave, but hey, if they're going to keep playing well, that's awesome for them. I'm happy for them. But seeing Texas go out, and Kansas and Tech, and I mean, I never would have thought we would have all been out this early.
No, for sure. For sure. I would have never thought, I know I was watching one team on Friday night. I forgot this past Friday. And I said, oh, it was Florida State, and it was Florida and someone else. And I think Florida was winning the whole game, and then that team came back and beat Florida. And I was like, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
I have one more question. What do you think about the Deshaun Watson news coming out? It's very devastating. As a football fan, to hear that story about him and how he wanted out of Houston. We all know J.J. Watt signed with the Cardinals, back in February, and he wanted out that Houston team. Firing Bill O'Brien last year, Romeo Crennel being the intermediate coach, and just Deshaun Watson with the news that broke out about him, allegations against him. That's got to be a rough one on a guy who just wants to contend for a ring and who wants to go to a team that's. But I think
yeah,
what I couldn't. Yeah.
He wants out of there, and
yeah,
it's crazy. I mean, I don't know anything, but it's unfortunate and really sad to see allegations keep coming his way. It's like, I don't know if everything's piling on, whether it's warranted or not. I don't know. I'm not the person to say that, but yeah, I mean, it feels like he just wants to cut bait and go somewhere else and start somewhere else to make something while he can. And, I always feel for a player like that. I don't know the situations of all these cases and allegations and where all that sits legally, but it's mess. It's a mess for sure.
It is. And, for, a guy who just wanted to, and I think the reason why Houston is like really set against him staying is because I think he signed a contract back in September, and they were like, okay, well, you signed a contract, and now you want out of Houston. And I know they just originally signed Tyrod Taylor for insurance policy if Deshaun Watson they signed Tyrod Taylor to be the backup to Deshaun Watson if Deshaun Watson leaves or stays or goes. But I think that team, yeah, it is. I think it's whether Deshaun stays or goes. I know they have a new coach, and with them losing J.J. Watt to Arizona, and the Cardinals having two former Texans and Hopkins and Watt. I know it was hard for Deshaun Watson to see J.J. go, but J.J. had already stated, he wants to compete for the playoffs or at least go to a playoffs for a team that, and the Texans, they started off the year 0-3, 0-4 last year. So, their 3 losses to, Kansas City, Ravens, Pittsburgh, and then they had to come back from the Titans came back from behind to beat them last year. So it was kind of a rough go for the Texans last year. And I mean, they picked up some wins here and there. So,
it's been a rough go for the Texans for a bit, and it's probably going to be a rougher year coming up. I mean, it's crazy because even if Deshaun Watson stays or has to stay or whatever it plays out, you have to wonder, is he going to play like he wants to be there? And because if he doesn't want to be there, and if he's bitter and can't get along with his leadership team, he might just not put it all out there for them.
Exactly. That's just.
But then, like you said, that they've got their backup plan, so maybe give Tyrod Taylor a chance to step up.
Yeah, hopefully, Tyrod Taylor can, make some things happen with Houston if he is in fact given a chance, as well as other quarterbacks who have been put in that position as well. So that's our show today, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for listening to Sports Talk Live. Today, I'd like to thank my special guest, Ms. Kelly Walker, for joining me today. As always, and good luck with your podcast as well.
Thank you.
I'll be back on the air this week, coming up Friday, to talk more sports. So I will see you then. This has been a Sports Talk Live production. Ms. Kelly Walker, anything you'd like to say to the fans before we wrap up?
No, I'm glad to talk to you. It's fun to hear somebody in a different market, different part of the country talk about their teams too. So thanks for having me.
Thank you. And you guys enjoy the rest of your day and be safe. And this has been Sports Talk Live. Thank you. Awesome.
Sorry, my